work with an operator, if you have that collaborative spirit, to redo a road system or some other kind of capital infrastructure that you would not even be able to contemplate simply on a per well impact fee or some kind of small level fee, so they can these can make a real difference.
Thanks, Fred. Now, Megan, you have experience in the southern tier in New York, where some communities are preparing for hydraulic fracturing to be permitted. What can local governments do, or what should they do, when they're preparing for shale development to come to their communities for the first time?
Thanks, Sherelle. I spent a lot of time working with the county planners in creating community guides to help local communities, guide them and pre-plan before the industry came. And what we came up with is 7 general tasks. The first task is to organize your structure, to align the municipal officers, the staff, assign them additional roles and responsibility, and coordinate efforts with the community task forces, and put that in alignment with the municipal agenda, as well as getting connected to other online resources and educational institutions. The second task as planners and what communities can do is to create a baseline community profile. And this just is entailing identifying, inventorying, and producing historic maps and just organizing the current community data. And when you do this, this is a perfect baseline to also start adopting or renovating your comprehensive planning documents. The third task to do is just what I kind of mentioned, is just using your planning documents by adopting and updating them and including local land use regulations, as well as reviewing the current oil, gas, and solution mining regulations for your state. 4, use your municipal regulations. Tweak your site plan review. Adopt a road use agreement. Look at aquifer protection regulations and wellhead protections. Revisit your short-term temporary employee housing regs, or consider adopting some. Look at your subdivision regulations and your regulatory definitions, and make sure that your definitions address the industry and its terminology. Number 5, put your zoning to work. You need to update your zoning regulations to support your updated comp plan, and that's key because a comp plan is only guidance, and if you don't update your regulations, you haven't finished the job. And this also allows you to review your light and noise ordinances and your ag district zoning, as well as just updating the definitions in the regulatory sections of your municipality. Number 6, you definitely have to track the industry. It's good to have monthly trends where drilling rigs are moving, numbers of wells, work with the industry, work with the state and local jurisdictions to devise drilling projections that include both short-term and long-term projections. And finally, number 7, and I can't stress this enough, is the communication is critical. You have to establish some sort of intragovernmental task force. You have to invite the industry to the table, the county, the town, the state, and community agencies such as landowner coalitions or housing agencies, to ask questions, to be involved, to let the industry know where problems occur right away, and to create a clearinghouse of information that the county and community can use, and that the information being collected is county and community specific, and to just keep planning regular meetings with the energy reps in the surrounding municipalities, I think, are key, and it's what planners need to focus on as well as the communities. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Sticking with New York, Erica, could you tell us about the experience of planners in Middlefield, New York? Erica, are you there?
There. Very quickly, Middlefield illustrates what Megan in particular has been talking about. It's in an area that relies on tourism. The Cooperstown Baseball Museum is there. There's an opera company at Glimmerglass. It's wine country. There's a lot of agriculture. Unlike the oil and gas industry, which introduced preemption legislation in the legislature, no one introduced legislation which said, thou shalt not adversely impact tourism in New York. And so Middlefield and the Cooperstown area in general gathered data, hired planners, updated their comprehensive plan, did a GEIS revision, and wrote a local regulation that protects farmland and agriculture, that protects wine country and existing uses, and that also says there will be light industry, but categorizes fracking and shale gas exploration in general as heavy industry, along with other heavy industries. And as Earl suggested, they have a provision that allows you to apply for a special permit. You may not get it, but this makes it necessary for landowners and others, particularly oil and gas developers, to exhaust their remedies before they bring lawsuits. Can't stress enough the importance of comprehensive planning. But just in case, as we go into our question period, I don't get a chance to say another word. Here are my thoughts. Read the newspapers. Stay current. There are no enemies in this particular line of endeavor. Very often the more progressive parts of the industry, such as Southwestern Energy Company in Texas, are working jointly with the Environmental Defense Fund and Congress in order to have disclosure of chemicals. It's a very complicated area. Lawyers, as Earl has suggested, will come at you with buckets of sand to throw in your eyes to say, no, you can't regulate us. But again, you're in a poker game. The more progressive companies, even while they are saying, get away, we're preempted, we're protected, will quietly work to change, for example, their water use. So be open-minded, talk to people, and call any and all of us. We're all listed. Thanks.
Thank you, Erica. And before we get to the Q&A portion, there is one more issue that all of the panelists agreed was crucial we touch on. So let's just talk about the community-industry relationship. Fred, Garfield County, Colorado has taken creative and thoughtful approaches to improving the relationship between the community and the industry. Could you please talk about what the county has done and how planners are a part of that process?
Absolutely, and thanks for the opportunity to hit on this. A couple of points we have, similar to what Megan has talked about, tried to put in place. In fact, we have effectively what's called a County Regulatory Navigation Guide. All of our different communities speak in terms of regulation, a language that in some cases is not familiar to the operators that show up on your courthouse steps looking to do work. And in the same vein, planners are inherently not versed well in the language and very complicated technologies that the industry uses. And so we took that opportunity to say we need to get together and understand each other before we set into the world of regulation and understand this takes a required education, so I would urge that. Secondly, we have what's called an oil and gas local government designee, also known as the oil and gas liaison position, and this is something that's a strong position in the state of Colorado for all of our counties and cities, and allows you to have an individual from your organization that works not only with the state regulations, but also the citizenry, your political boards, and industry. And it's a very difficult, if you might imagine, it's a very difficult job to walk around in, and being careful not to saddle up with any one agenda, but in fact trying to resolve issues on all parts. Finally, or two of the last points, we have also instituted by our County Board of County Commissioners what's called the County Energy Advisory Board. This is a politically appointed board made up of citizens, town leaders, and industry. And this is another forum that is a place where folks can come once a month and make the board aware of either specific issues or larger policy issues. By way of example, the setback issue that Colin was talking about, the state of Colorado is jumping into that issue yet again on, is there a conflict between the state's regulations on distance versus maybe a local community wanted to extend that setback maybe from 150 feet to 600 feet. Can you do that? Are those regulations in harmony with each other? And Earl would appreciate that term. And then finally, we have, I think, one of our most successful endeavors is called what Community Counts. And I would urge folks listening who are interested in this concept to go on the website and look at this program. But it is essentially a very real and very serious hotline of actual human beings, live voices at each of the companies that operate in our county. So we have these signposts literally all over our road network system, and they have a board, and you can call individually and not get a recording, but you will actually get a human being, a live person who knows something, not someone who perhaps is an administrative person, but an actual person, one of the PEs, for example, on one of the well sites. So you really do have direct access, is what this really boils down to a company. So a citizen can, instead of waiting a month to go explain their problems in front of a board, they can call that afternoon when they see or hear the problem and resolve it or work towards a solution immediately. So those are just a few things that I think are working very well out here.
Thanks, Fred. And I'm sorry, I just have to fix this so I could see my buttons. Colin, could you quickly talk about the relationship between the industry and the community from your perspective, and share any lessons you've learned over time that you think would be helpful for the audience to hear?
Absolutely. I think, if anything, we have to just understand that communication between both citizens and industry is the most paramount thing that we have. There are a lot of employees here that understand the gas drilling lingo. You have others that not really sure how this all works. So having a good liaison in your municipality to be able to discuss issues from the city's aspect of it to the industry, and also to take in complaints from citizens and to look at those and try to figure out what the best way to handle those situations are. We do things such as weekly meetings with operators where they come in and we just kind of talk about hot topics and discussions. Also to the point that we have town hall meetings when new drill sites are coming in, where citizens and the industry get to sit down and discuss issues that may be going on that we're not even aware of. So we try to do our best to communicate not only between the citizen, the operator, but also with people here at City Hall and for the municipal area.
Thanks, Colin. Now, some of the audience may have heard of community task forces. Megan, I think you already mentioned it, but could you explain what they are and whether, in your experience, they are effective?
Sure. Where I worked recently was in the southern tier of New York, and we had task forces at the county level, and this is in Chemung County, Schuyler County, and Steuben County, and each of the task forces created websites. And there is task forces in a variety of states, so you can definitely do your research. But in general, task forces are at the community level. They have many, many different organizational styles, and they basically help plan and prepare for natural gas development and gather and share information. And they can work in different political climates. The task forces can be extremely successful, where in Sublette County, Wyoming, an intergovernmental task force was developed and used.